They've got a lot to do.
Okay, got it.
Got it. All right, we have a lot to do tonight, and so much as I'd like to chit chat with everybody, I'm just going to say welcome, and I'm going to call the meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order at 7:04, looks like, and let's see. We have some additions to, well, for the roll call, I'll just say regular members Lynn, myself, the chairman, Paul Yeagood, Marge Smith, Anthony Palumbo are here, and alternate Jeff Galusha. And Jeff, you know that you can speak out, speak up, speak
Yep.
out. I know you will. So,
Yes.
and then our land use administrator, Ty Kern, and it looks like our clerk, Donna Hayes, is here. And so here we go, right? Am I missing anybody? No. Okay. All right. So the first thing we have to do is add to the agenda two applications. And Ty, correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like we've got application 133. Well, we want to add to new business 5B, application 1338-24, Joyce Simbulan, 71 Gorman Road, and application 1339-24, 5C, Andrea Budd at 422 Kent Hollow Road. And we just need a motion to add those to the
So
agenda.
moved.
Thank you, Paul. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any further
Welcome.
discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstention? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
question, just a question on order, sorry. Is Jeff elevated to where he could second a motion or?
Oops.
Oh, good question.
I got too excited.
Well, let's get another second and just cover it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Thank you, Marge. Again, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay. Good catch. All right. Um, did everybody have a chance to read the minutes of the last regular meeting?
Yeah,
January
they're well.
22nd?
I wasn't there, and I feel comfortable that I learned what was going on. So well done.
Any corrections? Okay, hearing none, we just need a motion to approve.
Can I approve even if I wasn't there?
Theoretically, somebody else should.
I'll
You
make a
can-
motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of January 22nd.
Thanks. Do we have a second? Jeff or, well, Anthony?
Can I as an alternate?
Maybe we need to. I think we need
Wait
to
a
elevate
minute.
one of the alternates.
Hang on a second. Anthony, you're not a regular member at this point? I thought we had, oh, I apologize. Okay, you're right. We do. Marge, can you go ahead and make that motion?
I'll second that, and then we need to elevate one of the other of them to voting status, right? To get a
Okay.
quorum.
Well, you have a quorum, but
Oh, we do.
you have 5 members, so if you want to elevate them both, you can.
Yeah, let's do that. So
Let's do
we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed or abstention? Okay, so let's make a motion to elevate both Anthony and Jeffrey, and then we can get out of this little quandary that we're in.
So
moved.
I'll
That was
second.
very good. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, very good. All right, onward. So that means everybody does have the right to vote, and we'll go on with that. All right. First up is application 1335-23, Stephen Abadi, and Stephen is here. And this requires a little bit of discussion. Todd, can you summarize for us where we're at right now?
Sure.
Thank you.
So the application came before us a couple meetings ago to build a bridge to replace the culvert that's there that was failing. There was some additional information required, and I think that they came through with the additional information that was required. In the meantime, the property owner, as on record, is Northwest Connecticut conservancy. So this is a right of way through their property to access the Stevens property behind it. So there came into question some debate as to whether the DEP should be involved in the building of the bridge, and and we've gone back and forth with the DEP on that. That's kind of uncertain, but the Northwest Conservatory had given permission to submit the application, but due to the uncertainty, it seemed that they wanted more information and more or less withdrew their permission for the application because they wanted to understand better and be confident that everything was addressed properly. In the meantime, we reached out to Mike Ziska, our land use attorney, just to make sure that this application was properly before the Wetlands Commission, who just responded this evening, and I uploaded that letter, and I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it or not, but basically his opinion on it was that the commission could go forward with the application. It would be between the two property owners as to work it out among themselves, whether the application could go forward as far as the work to be done, but it shouldn't hold up the Wetlands Commission themselves in making a decision. If it's found that, Stephen doesn't own the property, then he can't go through with the work if the conservancy doesn't allow for it. As far as the DEP stuff goes, it's kind of the same scenario. As far as the Wetlands Commission is concerned, I spoke with somebody from the DEP who said that those two applications are, the wetlands application and the DEP application is separate, so you're worried about wetland stuff here. Anything that has to do with the DEP, they have to deal with that on a separate level. So right now, the concentration is on the application that's before you. I think that kind of brings us up to speed, with the exception of today, the application totally changed. New modification to the application. It's not what was before us previously. A lot of stuff has been removed from the application. The plans were, somewhat modified to keep all the activity within the 50-foot right of way. Just kind of looking at that in comparison. I mean, and again, it's all very last minute. This afternoon, we were trying to rush around and try to figure out our way through all these new additions and comparing what was submitted to what had been previously submitted on the engineered plan, which the engineered plan that was submitted was more of a structural engineered plan that would, traditionally go to like a building official, not necessarily a civilly engineered plan, which brought us to going through the files and seeing when you had previously approved other bridges similar. And we looked at Drew Terrian's application. And I don't know if you remember that one, but that one was, done by a civil engineer. It was very clear what was going on from a wetlands perspective. So I don't know if you have that level of information here yet on this new submission. So that's something that you might want to, take a look at what you got, and it might be wise to ask for a civilly engineered plan so you do understand all around impact of what they're proposing. But as far as I understand it, you have total, you can make a decision on this application regardless of who owns the property, and you don't have to worry. Anything DEP related is totally separate.
Thanks, Ty. And just correct me if I'm wrong here. In response to NCLC's letter withdrawing their, I don't know quite what the right word is, support for approval of the application, the applicant submitted a new application that constrains the work just to the 50-foot wide right of way that they have currently granted to them. So it removes activity from what is otherwise NCLC's property. Is that correct? That's the first question.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the
Okay.
question is whether the conservatory owns that 50-foot right of
Right.
way.
But again,
But
that's not our issue.
that's
That is
not your
not our
issue.
issue to decide. Okay, so we could, and the other point I want to raise is that we are at the end of our initial review period and would have to theoretically make a decision tonight on the application that was submitted today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And
Unless you're given an
Could I
extension
make
by
a comment?
applicant.
no, let me finish, please. I'm just trying to understand, frame the issues here for the commission. Um, and then the third question for the commission is whether or not you've had enough time to actually, this is a question for Ty. First off, have you had enough time to review and do you understand what the new application actually is compared to the old application? And then part B of that is, has the commission had enough time to understand fully what the changes in this application are? My concern is that being rushed into a decision tonight feels to me um, um, a bit, I don't know. I feel like I personally don't feel like I've had enough time to actually measure the application and the changes and to look at that within the context of NCLC's email, as well as fully absorb the letter that we received from our attorney.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the applicant would be willing to either grant an extension or withdraw the application without prejudice to give us the opportunity to really suss out what the new application actually includes. So I'm going to start with Ty. Do you feel like with the information that you've had a chance to look at, given that it's a small amount of time, that you understand what's actually being applied for?
No, so I mean, even when you look at the application itself, the area of disturbance, how it's supposed to be calculated, how much of the wetlands is disturbed, obviously all that information is changing now with the new submission. Those calculations have not yet been submitted. So that alone is lacking information. And again, like I said, I mean, you could look at previous application and how it was done by a civil engineer, and it really gives a clearer depiction of what would occur during a process like this and the impacts. And that's not necessarily being shown. I did talk to Mr. Abate a little bit about the difference between a civil engineer and a structural engineer, about a week ago. And I know that it's very difficult to get a civil engineer at this point. They're few and far between, it seems, but I think that would make for a better file.
Mm-hmm. A better set of information. So has the rest of the commission had a chance to look at this revised application?
Where is it? That's what I'm looking for right
Yeah,
now.
I didn't see it. I
I
didn't
don't
see it in
see
the
it.
drive.
I don't
If
see
you
it.
look under 4A, it says cobble photos. All the correspondence is in there too.
Where?
If you look in the
Oh,
folders at the top
I'm,
of,
I'm
of
in.
all the files.
Yeah, I'm in the folder. Well, it's just me, but
Ty, can you bring it up?
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
I'm in the 99 Cobble photos, but I don't see a new.
Yeah, I
It's
don't see the
it's
I
called
don't see the application.
It's February 26th revision.
We've got to go through every single one to figure out
Yes.
the title.
It's named February 26th revision, but I'll share it with you. Just like give me a second.
I've
Oh.
just got to.
So while you're doing that, Mr. Abate,
Yeah.
my inclination is to ask if you would
There it is.
consider either withdrawing or extending the commission's opportunity to review for the remaining 60 days that we have, so that we can clearly understand what you're proposing and take the time that I think we normally take and need to understand what you're proposing and react to it and give a rational, approval, request modifications or denial.
Jeez, look at all of this.
Can I ask a question?
Hang on. Yes, Anthony, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The bridge plan itself, that hasn't changed, correct? It's the work around the bridge that's changed.
Yes.
So the bridge itself, the structural elements, that's still the same as last time.
Yes.
But it doesn't include any of the modifications on either side on the property on either side that is not within the 50-foot right of way. Is that
Would
correct?
would it be helpful if I just explained it? It'll only take me a moment.
Yes.
Yes, it would be helpful. I'm still not, I'm still concerned about the speed
Sure.
with which the commission is being asked to review, understand,
Yep.
consider, and act on this application. It's unusually short amount of time.
Yeah,
Really.
and we may be willing to, like I say, withdraw or postpone or whatever. But I
Okay,
just think everyone while we're here should understand.
agreed.
Only on Friday did we receive an email from the land trust stating that they withdrew their approval of certain aspects of the plan, and we'd have to sign licensing agreements, and we would have to agree to fines and penalties if the work wasn't done correctly, and we'd have to enter into indemnification agreements. So that's why this is all happened at the last minute. So all that we did was we're not going to go on their property anymore. We're not going to cut down trees, which we had in the plan. We've moved the stockpile area to the 50-foot right of way, and trying to think if there was any other changes. I think
The
those are the
boulders
only.
on the curve.
What's that? Oh yeah, no ball. We're not going to put any boulders because that would be beyond the 50-foot right of way, and we also think that that can just be done with plantings. So we have a planting plan. We've just basically taken three things away from the original application. And also we were going to build a temporary road, a temporary link between the two driveways, but that got nixed. They would prefer that we did not do that, which wasn't on the original application. Is there a new application I'm not aware of? I thought there was only one application. Everyone keeps referencing a new application.
Well, it's a substantial change from what you originally proposed, and I think Ty is simply referring to it as a new application because of that. I could be
Okay.
wrong. Is that correct, Ty?
Yeah, maybe I misspoke. I meant modification to this
Okay.
app.
Yeah. So basically, we're not going to cut down trees. We're going to move the stockpile area to on the 50-foot right away. Everything else is, and we're not going to put boulders in, which I think my understanding was that that wasn't highly thought of anyhow to put the boulders in place. So everything else is exactly the same. Those are the only three changes. If you need to review those three changes, and you need time on it, uh, you
I
know,
I I think what the other thing that Ty was suggesting was that we need an expert's opinion on the plan, um, utilizing a civil engineer's assessment of what the impacts would be as you go through the process to install a bridge.
May I speak?
that's new to me. I didn't know that. I thought that if we presented an engineer's plans, Kevin Archer is one of the top structural engineers in the state of Connecticut, who's put together this bridge, which is substantial. It's 40 feet in length, and there's nothing else like it around us anyhow. It's a more robust bridge than the bridge that goes over the creek on Cobble Road. So I'll leave it at that.
Mike, are you trying to say something, Mike Owl?
May I?
Yes, please.
Um, what Steve is saying is that there's going to be far less um, damage or there's far less intrusion on any of the wetlands or any of the regulated area. The area where the boulders were going to go is not going to be touched. The area where the stockpile on the original plan is not going to take place. It's the only it's it's more simple than it was, and I don't see why they should have to get a civil engineer. I can work up I can change the sequence of events for you. The only time that anything's going to get disturbed anywhere near the brook is when we pull the pipe out. And that has to get pulled out no matter what happens. And what we would do is we would put the south abutment in first, and we would slope that down toward the pipe. We would install the riprap there. We would do the north abutment. We would slope that down towards the pipe, put the riprap there, and the last thing we would do before we put the deck on would be to pull the pipe out. So the only time the brook would even be affected at all is when we pull the pipe out, and that's just a quick, pluck it out, and everything's already graded and secured with riprap, and there's really uh, far less affecting the wetlands or the stream than the original application. The only
So a
thing,
pipe, you're not putting a pipe back in, so it's going to be a natural stream bed going underneath the bridge.
exactly. So it's returning the stream to its natural, you know, path, and it's returning it to its natural width, which is wider than the pipe, and we won't be intruding on the water except to pull the pipe out, and that's it. There'll be silt fence or hay bales, whichever you prefer, or both, put in place, and um, really everything's going to be stable before we even pull the pipe out, because there's the 18 to 24 inch riprap that's going to go on the slopes, as you probably see on the engineered drawing. Um, I don't see what a civil engineer is going to do that we haven't provided or I can't do for you. But of course it's up to you.
Mhm.
That was going to be my question. Can you just explain it to me again? Why there is the need for a civil engineer? I mean, I'm just wondering if I missed something. I
Are you, so you're asking me? So that's what you required of the last bridge project. So I mean, if you look at those plans, it's just much clearer to follow what's going to occur. There's cross sections, there's all that stuff that you're accustomed
Oh,
to
I see what you're
seeing.
saying. Okay.
Um, number 6 of your application requires a calculation of the wetlands area disturbed, and we
That's
don't
easy
have
enough.
that information with the new plan. So it kind of leaves a couple
Okay.
things in question with these changes. If you're satisfied with the information that, you're provided, obviously it's your decision.
I can provide you with the whatever would be disturbed, the area. That's easy enough. It's just where the pipe is in the immediate vicinity of the pipe. So I can calculate that easy enough. I mean, it's math, you know.
Mike, what's your opinion on the current state of the bridge right now?
The pipe, as
The
far as
bridge itself, I guess the pipe, yes.
the pipe it's failed. Some beavers had dammed it up in the past, and the ends on the uphill on the upstream side of the pipe have folded in. They can't be unfolded, and the pipe is 1985-ish
Yeah,
vintage. It's
yeah.
at the end of its life, really, its lifespan. It has washed out around it because the opening is only about maybe 2/3 of the size it originally was. So every time we get a heavy rain, it floods.
Is
Um,
this is this the only access?
excuse me?
Is this the only access?
Yes.
Yeah. But the long-term impact to the surrounding areas is something that we want to keep in mind.
The only thing that's going to get disturbed is the roadway and pulling the pipe out of the brook.
Yeah,
Can I address the impact? Every time this bridge washes out, which it's done 5 times, we have to put 60 tons of non-native material back in there because that's how much has washed downstream. We're trying to prevent that from an environmental impact and give ourselves, safety, to be able to cross the bridge, or if a fire truck were to come across. I mean, this thing is completely rusted out and rotted on the bottom. and it puts our family in danger, and we need to get it repaired.
From a wetland standpoint, we need to consider both that, the urgency, and the impact to this stream, which is a high quality stream. And I would like personally to have the opportunity to actually look at what the changes that you've made carefully, look at um, what our concerns might be in term from purely from a wetland regulatory perspective, not from a land ownership perspective or, um, I I kind of feel like it's a significant change and I haven't had a chance to really look at it carefully. And I would like to be given that opportunity. It's up to the rest of the commission if you feel the same way. It's, I'm just one voting person here.
It
Can I just,
sounds,
I just have a question for Mike. The changes
Yes,
largely come from the notion that you don't, the guy, I'm sorry, Mr. Abate does not own the land on either side of the right of way. So
correct.
it seems to me the changes that you're putting forward tonight are simply a new plan of how to do the same work, but only staying within that 50-foot wide barrier. Am I
Exactly.
understanding that correctly?
Yes,
So the only change that this involves is simply you're, instead of working in a big square area, you're working in a rectangle area that doesn't exceed the 50 feet.
correct. And
And you've dropped the boulder question out of it,
mhm,
and you've dropped the tree cutting questions out of it.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
and it seems to me like this is, I agree with everything that's just recently been said, and I think this is a vast improvement to the stream.
That
To
I
get
would
that
agree
pipe,
with Marge.
yeah, to get the
Yeah,
pipe
I
out of
agree
there,
with
to
that
get it
too.
back to a
I would
natural.
agree.
I
I mean,
really don't. Go
I
ahead.
understand that it sounds like a big change, Lynn, but I think it's the same. Well, it is the same thing that they were doing before. It's just, it sounds like it's a trick play, and I don't mean to say that negatively. I love football. I love trick plays. You've just changed up your offense here because of what the defense gave you. Um, you've modified it and put it in a long rectangle, like the stockpile area. That's been moved there because that is the property lines that you are able to work within.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do understand. I just feel like it's a significant application. And I felt that way early on. I wasn't convinced, I know something has to happen here, but I wasn't convinced that the original plan was proper, or proper is not the right word, was sufficiently protective of the stream and the wetland. And I'm not sure this one is either. And I just would like some time to think about it. I'm literally have had 5 minutes to look at this, plus this conversation.
Mhm.
That's not at all usual. We typically do have more time to think it through and discuss it. I do understand that it's going in the end that this solution is better, far better than what we have now. I just want to make sure that in the process of installing it, um, we aren't approving an unintended consequence.
So, Lynn, can I ask a question then? If you have specific concerns and can address them to Mike, and Mike can answer them, do we have to then wait for a civil engineer to be a part of this?
I honestly, I don't know the difference between a civil engineer or a structural engineer in terms of determining the impact to the brook long term. Um, that's a good question. I think we had our reasons for doing it in the past. I actually was asking Ty if the town has a civil engineer on call.
Yes.
And who is that?
Oh, God. Donna, can you help me? Do you remember what's her
Yeah.
name?
It used to be Anchor Engineering. It was Denise Lord, but Anchor just was purchased by somebody. But Denise Lord would be the one that Ty could contact to review the plan and offer any kind of advice or comment.
I think that would make me feel
That sounds good.
better. Yeah.
And,
I mean, I understand that time is of the essence, believe me. And the way it is right now, it's not good. I get that. But whatever we approve here is going to have consequences as well. And I don't, I'd like more time and I'd like to consult with somebody who knows more than I do about some of this.
Well, we've certainly worked with Denise before, so if we know, she knows what she's doing, we can get that information pretty quickly. Does this then have to wait till the next meeting? I think it probably does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we able to do something in part so they could start working on non-impact work? Or
Well, it's up to, they can't really start without a permit, and it's
Yeah.
up to Steve as to whether or not he wants to grant a 30-day, or according to Ty, we have up to 60 days, but if he wants to grant a 30 or 60-day extension, it's up to him.
and if he doesn't, we'd have to vote tonight.
Well, well, we don't have to approve it tonight. We can deny it without prejudice, which would enable him to come back without paying a fee or anything like that. That's another option. Or you can
But then
approve it.
that starts that clock ticking from the beginning again.
Yeah,
So
that's not to say that I'm suggesting that we delay. I'm not trying to delay this. I just want to make sure we have the information that we need.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that if we deny it without prejudice, then he has to submit a new application, and then that can't be approved at that meeting.
That's true. That's
So
true.
it would be better if we can get to Denise to get us some information that would be ready for the next meeting, in which
Right,
case we could approve it in March.
right. That's true.
I'd like to ask a question, one more other question.
Yeah,
On the image that's on the screen, we have the right of way lines, correct? And the bridge is right on the very left side, as I'm looking on my screen, of the right of way. So we're actually only able to approve work in that right of way zone, and the project kind of steeps out of that zone a little bit.
I think
That's
that's
a good
just, I
question.
just think that's the way the purple,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. The every document, every deed, whether it says we own the land or it says the land trust owns the land, every single document says it's the right of way is 25 feet from the center line of the driveway. The issue is when this was originally written, there was no driveway. So if you look at the center line of the driveway, this map is incorrect on that left side as well as on the right side. Um, we use 25 feet from the center of the driveway because that's what all the deeds and right of ways say. But that's a good observation, Jeff.
Because my point would be is I don't think we're ever going to get to the point of it seems to me that this would have to be a mutual, or the best laid plan for this situation would be a mutual endeavor, as crazy as that might sound, between the land trust and the homeowner, because the land, it's a right of way that comes through, and to make this a perfect world, we'd have to have another 20 feet that they're able to go into, right? That's
Jeff,
not on their property. Does that
that
make sense?
we have no role in, that would be ideal, yeah, but we have no role in asking for that or anything, or even
That
discussing it.
that I agree. That was kind of what my point was. So I think
Mhm.
that if we look at this and then realize for the scope that what they're able to do in this space, is there, if there's anything else they should do in that limited amount of space, then that's something to concern ourselves about. If not, then it's really going to be, I don't know what else they could do.
Well, I think that's a really good question, and I don't feel qualified to answer that question. I'd like some
Okay.
additional assistance. Yeah.
Could a fire truck access the property now safely?
No, no, it's just not. It's not safe to drive on with any kind of heavy equipment. We've got the asked the propane uh, company to come in with a light load. Um, so we're trying to just keep as much traffic off it. We do have like UPS trucks and stuff coming on it. We've built some wooden. We've put 6x6, like 12-foot beams on top, and they've. We thought that would stop some of the cave-ins. It didn't really work, but it gives a little bit of support. Um, you know, I mean, it's already starting to collapse again. So I understand, wanting more time. The civil engineer thing just, I like no one ever told me we would have, although Kevin's been great and I think he put together a fantastic plan. I had no idea how to have a civil engineer. That was never
Yeah. So,
part of
I mean, just to
anything.
interrupt, we had that discussion, Mr. Abade. We
Today.
spoke about, no, last week or two
Well,
weeks
last
ago.
week, yeah. After all the plans were done and we already paid for
All right.
having the engineer drawings done.
Well, this is a changed plan, and I think it's within the purview of the Wetland Commission to consider it. I just don't feel like I've had time to actually look carefully at it and think through and or get the expertise that we might want to determine what unintended consequences we ought to be looking at and asking you to plan for.
What are you thinking would be
I,
unintended consequences? I'm confused on that one.
I, I want to make sure that this bridge is accounting for flow properly and is accounting for especially high flow. I want to make sure that the plan for the removal of the culvert is taking into account potential downstream impacts. And I don't know what else I want to make sure of because I'm not an engineer in
Well, it
terms
has
of
twice the
flow
volume of the
calculations.
town's bridge that is a mile downstream,
Right.
and that bridge has never failed.
Yeah, Kevin, do you have any, Kevin's the engineer. He's on the call. I'm wondering if, and he's looked at all the water flows. I mean, this thing's a 14-foot wide water flow as opposed to 5 feet wide culvert. So it looks pretty obvious to me, but I'm not an engineer either.
That's right. I know. I do
Well,
understand. I understand what you're trying to do, and I'm from
well,
a wetland standpoint, I'm in
Yeah,
agreement
this
that we
thing's
need to do
already,
something. I just want to make sure that what we're doing is correct. That's all.
this bridge will have twice the volume of the town's bridge on Cobble Road, which is a mile downstream. So as far as volume, it will accept way more water than the town's bridge will, and the town's bridge has never failed. It has never.
That's how we arrived at the width of this bridge, the span of this bridge was actually walking the site and measuring what appeared to be the original width of the stream bed there. And we went there and then a little bit wider to make sure we were wide enough. So we are wider than the stream is right now on both sides of this bridge.
So
That's
Kevin,
how wide this is.
what flood, level are you considering when you're considering the bridge?
I didn't measure a flood or a
Right.
storm. It was, but that wasn't part of the application before either. So right now, the only change is they relocated the stockpile. That's the only change from the last application. There's no, and actually reduced it in scope. So if you were willing to review that application tonight without this change of the stockpile, I don't know why you.
We cannot do that because it includes activity not within the right of way, beyond the right of way. So all we can do is consider this application in front of us. And I don't know, maybe the rest of the commission felt they had enough information with the last application. I think there were a lot of open-ended questions, some of which
Okay.
have been removed by this
Yeah.
application.
well, we addressed everything. We had a list. Ty gave us a list and we addressed every item on there. And then we said, well, we're not going to cut down the trees because the land trust would prefer us not on their property. We're not going to do a temporary driveway because they preferred us not on their property. We moved the stockpile because they preferred us not on their property, and we weren't going to do the boulders, which you guys kind of gave us direction that you didn't want to do the boulders anyhow.
Right.
We made this a simpler plan and gave you every single item that you'd asked for. I mean, I understand if you want to, postpone it. I don't want to, I don't want to force you into making a decision. I'm just scratching my head saying, I don't understand. We gave you a simpler plan and and we did everything you asked us for. So I don't know what more you want.
Ty, do you feel that, do you, Ty, where are you? I lost you. Where'd you go?
Here.
Um, so I know I would like more time to actually think this through, and I'd love to have an opinion from the town engineer. It sounds like the applicant is willing to give us some additional time to do that. But if the rest of the, and Ty, how do you feel about that? What is your recommendation? I'd like to
Yeah,
hear
I
from
mean,
the
I think
rest of
that's a
the.
great idea of having, I mean, it's a way to have access to somebody quickly, having the town engineer look at it. I think it would be still at the expense of the applicant. So if they want to agree to that, then I can send this over to her and hopefully get a response right away. And it'd probably make everybody feel good about it if she's happy with what was proposed.
So the question is, Anthony, Jeff, and Marge and Paul, do
I
you
would
want to
feel
do that, or are you
comfortable.
feeling ready to act tonight?
Well,
I would feel comfortable acting tonight. I think I think it's a reduction from last time, but I think there's an urgency. And God forbid there's a fire at his house. My cousin just had a fire at his house, and so and if a fire
Well,
truck
that's a
can't go over the
fear.
bridge,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a little scary, and
yeah.
knowing we could have done something about it, I mean, that's even scarier. I mean,
Hmm.
um, it seems like there's not much impact, if any, to the stream.
How
Uh,
would we know? Well, I'm sure there's definitely going to be an impact. It may be short term. The
I
question
know,
is, will it be long term?
right? I know in other situations, emergency bridge applications for similar situations where the urgency outweighs like personal safety, obviously outweighs other circumstances. So um, I think there's an urgency on this application, um,
Okay.
given that it's failing. That's
Yeah.
my point of view. I feel
I
comfortable
agree
voting
with
tonight.
Anthony on that point as well. But I'm also looking at some of the pictures, and if you look at that little area downstream of the bridge, how much that is silted in right now, and just how much worse and more damage that's going to do to the brook unless the problem is corrected.
Okay. Jeff?
I think, I don't think the changes in the plans are, I think they're for the better. Like I said, I think their ability to impact is only this tiny area, and what they have laid out in that tiny area, I feel pretty comfortable with, and I feel the need to have safety across the bridge is paramount. Um, in looking at the pictures, I agree with Paul. The notion that all this stuff is going to silt in the next big storm we get, it's going to continue. I don't think the unknowns are that strong for me.
Okay. Marge? You there, Marge?
She's muted.
Marge, are you
Yeah,
muted?
I know. Sorry, my dog was making a lot of noise. I feel that if we put the stream back to its original width instead of forcing it through this pipe for another month, yes, some of that silt is going to move around for a while, but it'll settle down into what it's permanently going to be. And I don't see how that can be changed by waiting for a month and get, I mean, what, I'm not expressing myself very well, but I do agree with Anthony and Jeff and Paul that I think safety is a bigger issue. I think this is an improvement over that pipe. Um, and I think it won't take long for basically Mother Nature to settle herself back down into a natural stream bed. I really worry about the safety of that.
The safety of the access to the property?
Yes.
Lynn, could I ask, is there a way, I don't know what the process is, but is there a way that we have no problem paying for the town engineer to give an opinion, is there a way we could get like a conditional approval? And,
That's a
like,
good question. Ty, is that possible to
Yeah.
get a conditional approval?
I I think so.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and then let them come
Yeah,
and
in
look
other
at it. We
words,
don't want to do something that's not going to be right. We're trying to do this thing 100% the right way.
Steve, you would be willing to grant us an extension. Um,
Well, I mean, could we
we
approve
would,
it
let me
tonight,
just,
Lynn?
let me
Go
just
ahead.
finish it. Um, All right, let me think this through. I
I'd
guess
rather
my
not
question
wait a
is,
month, but if
no,
the
no, I
engineer,
understand. Let me just tie, if we were to take action tonight conditionally, I guess the time frame doesn't matter, correct? Because if something were to surface as a result of that condition, whatever it is, that would make the permit null and void. Is that correct?
That's correct. My concern is that something might, I mean, I think that unfortunately, I think that if the engineer looks at this, she's going to identify, because she's an engineer and she knows what she would have included in this plan. So then she'll come up with things that need to be included. So
Mhm.
if I think you're gonna stick yourself in a situation where you make a condition and then it's not going to go through as easily as you think it might. Not saying that this plan is bad or anything. I just think with an engineer's eye on it, she's going to note things that aren't. I mean, if you look at Drew's Terrian's plan versus this plan, it's so significantly different the way that it's presented because it's just a different plan. It's done by a civil engineer. So, I mean, that's my guess is that she's going to say, well, this is fine, but you need to show this, this, and this, and this. And it's not going to be a yes or no kind of thing.
We approve it conditioned on the applicant incorporating the town engineer's comments into his plan.
You mean responding to.
I was incorporating. So if she says you have to do this, then it's
You have to,
incorporated into the plan. He could respond to it as
Well, I
well.
think, I think what Ty's saying is that the engineer might ask for a series of cross sections. She might ask for calculations. She's not going to do them herself.
Right.
exactly.
Then he would incorporate those calculations into his plan.
Yeah, if everybody's in agreement with that, then
could we, limit it to critical items that would have a negative impact on the wetlands?
Incorporate all
I
wetland
think if we're going to
comments.
ask our engineer, we're going to ask her from a wetlands and watercourses standpoint. That's what we would ask for her feedback on. I hear what you're saying. Is that right, Ty? Can we do that?
yeah, yeah, of course.
Well,
May
So
I?
what you're saying is that if we, go ahead, Mike.
Just one quick thing. Since whoever engineers it, whoever does anything else, I'm pretty darn sure I'm the guy that's going to be doing the work. Would it help if I came up with some calculations for you within the next couple of days and of course redid the scope, the sequence of events and the scope so it matches what you're looking at here now? Um,
in other words, coming
I
up
can
with
do the
additional,
calculation. I'm not an engineer, but I can do the calculations of what's going to flow, and you can do I can do the volumes, and I can tell you exactly what we're going to do to protect everything ahead of time.
in other words, you're coming up with additional information that we would submit to our town engineer.
Yes.
In order for that to occur, then we would want to at least extend the amount of time we have to make a decision because that's new information,
Yeah.
right?
So it's only a month. It's another month from now, right? There's
Mm.
there's no way you could have I
No,
mean, I know the selectmen have a special meeting once in
we
a
could,
while.
we could do that.
Could maybe we have a special meeting next week if I can provide, or next a week from Wednesday, if I can provide this information to you by this Wednesday?
I can't speak for our, do you think that our engineer Ty would respond that quickly? I'm not familiar enough with,
I mean,
Well,
I've asked her, I haven't worked with her much, but I've asked her things on a couple of occasions and she was fairly quick to respond to me. So I think so. So, I mean, Mike could have the information in a couple of days and, we could give her maybe a week to respond from the time that Mike provides additional information. Is that what you're asking?
that's what I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm just,
yeah.
So,
I'm just trying, I'm just trying to expedite this and, try and get this through And I'm not trying to force anyone to make decisions today. Obviously you have questions and concerns and they're understandable, but to wait another month, I think is kind of out of reach.
So if Mike could get the information to Ty to get to Denise, and if Denise knows that this is pretty much a safety issue, I would be willing to do a special meeting, very definitely.
Thanks, Marge.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks, Paul. Anthony?
Yes.
And
Jeff.
what am I missing? Did I get everybody here?
Yeah,
Jeff.
I'm available.
Jeff, okay.
Okay, so I will do my best to get it to you by Wednesday, maybe Thursday at the latest. And I don't know how much time your engineer would need to look at it after that, but maybe you could just let us know when you could do a meeting after when the engineers has reviewed it and given you their input. Does that work for you?
That would work. We would need Steve to give us an extension tonight in order to accommodate any additional time, if I'm understanding that correctly, Ty. Is that right? Yeah.
That's correctly. You need to make a decision tonight or get an extension up to 60 days. He still has left to offer an extension.
Arjun is on the call. Arjun is my neighbor, and he's been involved in this the whole time. So I just want to ask him if he's got any comments or if he's okay with giving the extension also.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. I've been listening diligently. I'm trying to kind of do more listening than talking. But yes, that's what we're proposing in terms of next steps, and we appreciate the consideration around the urgency around it. That all makes sense to me. Thank you.
So what kind of an extension, Ty, would be safe, do you think, in terms of anticipating a response from the town attorney?
The engineer.
Oh, yeah.
I would, I mean, 30 days with the intention of it not being 30 days would probably be safe. You know, because otherwise you're going to kind of be stuck in a situation where you're going to have to resume a meeting and not have the information. I mean, the hope is within the next 10 to 15 days we'll be able to resume, but I mean, Denise could be on vacation right now. I don't know, you know, so.
So all right. So let me see. So we're asking the applicant to grant a 30-day extension. Our intention being to hold a special meeting as soon as we can, as soon as we hear back from our
Absolutely.
Engineer. Is that fair?
Could we do like March 15th by the end of next week? I mean, 30 days, why wouldn't we already had the opportunity to.
The reason that Ty's suggesting that is only that if our engineer's on vacation and she can't respond, we're going to be in the same position, except having to deny it at that point, unless we have another special meeting where, can you grant an extension in a special meeting? I guess you can. I don't know.
Yes, you can. Yeah. I mean, you could have a special meeting to extend.
You could do it just for that. I suppose we could.
I mean, what's the problem with extending it for 30 days? It doesn't mean we have to wait 30 days before we meet again. We just have that 30-day period covered.
Okay, we're okay with extending 30 days.
I think the intention of the commission, for what I'm hearing, would be to have a special meeting before that. And
definitely, yeah.
Our notification period for a special meeting, Steve, is 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
If we were to hear back, is that right, Ty?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if we were to hear back from our engineer, we could schedule a special meeting within 24 hours of that.
Does Kevin Archer have a civil engineer in his office?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. It's kind of a compromise all the way around, and I'm grateful for everybody being willing to work together on this. So I guess, what do we need for a formal extension, Ty? Do we need Steve to?
Yeah, it would be ideal if Steve would send an email so that we have something in writing, but we do have this recorded right now.
Sure.
So Steve, you're agreeing to a 30-day extension. We're committing to meet more quickly than that, based upon the response of our engineer. and to set a special meeting for that as soon as we hear back from her. Do we need a motion to that effect, Ty?
I would
I
think so.
I don't think so. Okay.
No?
You would think so, Marge?
Well, because we're technically we should be making a decision tonight, so I think we're changing that. I think we need a motion
a
to
motion to
accept.
table, a motion to
Motion to
table.
A
table.
motion to,
Go ahead,
Go
Paul.
ahead.
I was gonna say a motion to accept the 30-day
Yeah.
extension.
Yep.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Paul.
I-
We need a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Now, do we need a second motion, Ty, committing us to a special meeting upon hearing from our engineer?
Nah, I mean, I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
Okay. But that's our intention, and that is recorded, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Do you want to
Okay.
make a motion to table it to the next meeting?
Regular or otherwise?
Yeah,
That's not a bad idea.
I guess that's what I was kind of asking, but not very articulately. We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to table this application to the next meeting. We don't know when that's going to be, but to the next meeting.
Absent the word regular, correct. Okay.
Yeah.
We need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
who seconded that?
I did.
Paul did.
Paul.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Paul.
And no further discussion, and all in favor, I heard aye. I didn't hear any opposed, any abstention. Okay. Once again, thank you. Appreciate the conversation and the honesty here and the frankness, and we'll do our best to resolve this as quickly as we possibly can.
Thank you. We really appreciate it too. And to hold a special meeting is really appreciated.
Yeah, well, we do understand the urgency, and I think that's clear that the commission is very concerned about that.
Yeah.
That and the further environmental degradation on top of it. So we'd like to wrap this up too.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Hey,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. It's a good discussion. I appreciate everybody listening to my angst. Appreciate it. All right. We are going to move on to application 1335-24. And this was the removal of invasives and replanting. I believe this application has been withdrawn. Is that right? Still?
That's correct. The agent reached out, Michael, and said that they have an overall plan for the property that they're working on. So rather than bringing it to you piecemeal, they'd like you to have a full visual of everything that they plan to do on the property. So they will be back with this portion and more.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
And then for C, application 1336-24. This is the after the fact driveway drainage request to table.
Yeah, so he did speak with Cynthia Rabinowitz, who recommended somebody that he could work with to come up with a good plan to resolve his issue. So he's in the process of developing that plan to bring to you guys, but they just haven't had time. I mean, it was a matter of, getting the recommendations and getting it all scheduled. So he plans for next month to be able to come forward with a good plan.
Okay. So we just need a motion then to table application 1336-24.
So moved.
Thanks, Paul. Second.
Seconded.
Thanks, Anthony. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Great. Thank you. All right. So new business. 5A, application 1337-24, Albert Loveru? I hope I'm getting that correct, Albert. If you're there, you can,
See his name.
I see his name too. Albert, can you unmute? Albert, if you can hear us, please unmute.
Oh, can you hear us now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
So Ty, did you want to kind of introduce us to this application? Did you have a chance? This is one did you have a chance to look at this? Yeah.
Yeah, no, this one's been in for a little bit. And it's just an application to remove invasives, some standing dead trees, relocate some rocks, and install a rain garden, with all within the regulated area. So there's a pond on this property. I think that he provided a little sketch of his proposal. He went as far as to show the different pieces of equipment that he would be using in the area when he does this work. Some photos of the property and the native plants that he plans on replacing the invasives with. So he is here for questions.
I actually don't have do I have a site plan?
Was like a sketch. I can
Oh, I
share it
do. I'm
on the
sorry. I
slide.
just thought, yeah. Well, actually, I have a plan showing. I'm not sure what I have.
You want me to screen share it?
Yeah, please. I'm just not sure if I'm actually looking at the property boundaries.
But I'm trying to find.
Albert, are the wetland limits shown on the plan? For the 100-foot setback?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find, is a site plan that actually shows the basics and all in one place here. Did you submit a site plan, Ty?
Ty's muted.
I know. She's trying to pull it up. So Ty, is this the site plan? You're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we're looking at the actual lot.
Yep, I mean, this is his plan. He shows where the pond is and how the water course runs through. There's also some supplemental topography and like a GIS overview of the wetlands on the property. So,
Well, I don't see it. I'm sorry. Maybe you have something more than I have. I've got this, what you're showing, and I've got a map that shows, looks like vegetation. I don't have a topography map, I don't think. If I do, I can't read it. It may just be my copy.
I think it's a fairly flat lot.
Is it?
So it's within 25 feet grade from top to the bottom.
We still need to see the topography along with the work.
I put on that first print you saw, I put the measurements on there.
Topography? You put the topography lines?
I did, yes.
Oh, I missed it.
I put 3 different spots.
It's not lines, it's just
No, it's
points.
just writing, just the regular footage that I put off a GPS I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was intended to show more than it actually does on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Or
It's,
even in copy.
yeah, it's a bad, I don't know, it didn't scan very well.
Mm-hmm. And where's the original site plan? I don't need to see machinery. All right, what is that? Whoops, what is this?
That's the print off of your wetland. Our property is where the arrow is, and then it includes the neighbors behind us and next to us. It's just kind of showing the course of the wetland buffer zone.
Yeah, no, this is not a site plan. Um, so yeah.
I guess the major question is where's the wetlands area?
Mm.
Yeah, we need a site plan that actually shows the wetlands with next to the work with the distances from the wetland to the work. We actually really need a real site plan. So I unfortunately I don't see one here.
What about the first photo you saw? That wouldn't do? If I could explain it to you.
The
Well,
drawing.
it should stand for itself. If you could go back to the drawing and you have wetlands on there and topography on there, that would be useful. And it may be that you do, I just couldn't make it out.
All right, let's see if I could explain it to you.
Let's go back. Well, the map, the drawing itself should actually be self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is.
Can we see it
Hi,
again?
can you pull
We
that up
don't have it
again?
in front of us.
Give me a second.
That's the one that's sideways. It's a square.
Yeah, it was sideways. Yes. There it is.
Yeah.
If you start from the bottom right corner, you'll see the driveway.
Oops, sorry.
You'll see an arrow that shows the rock walls coming up the driveway. You get to the top of the driveway, you see the barn. Last year, I went for permit to put a shed in, some fencing. If you can see the dotted line. Yep, that's it right there. That was a permit last year. Then if you look at that rain garden, it's marked in blue. So the work is going to start, yep, right from there. If you follow the line south, you'll see that's the work area. It starts at that line and goes to the east, which will be next to the pond off the page, which is a neighbor's pond.
Can you point out the line that shows the wetland area and the regular, is this entire lot in the regulated area?
Yeah, it's all wetlands. 90% of it's wetlands.
The area we're planning on working on and removing the invasives, it's all in the wetlands. So it's the whole top third of the property.
Which is the driest, which is the highest point.
So is there a line on this sketch that shows where the work area is?
Yes, if you look at the 20 by 40, a blue circle or a kidney shape right there. There's that line that goes from that corner, it goes south.
So it's just that area that you're proposing to do
no,
work?
It goes straight across over the stream and then keep going to the border.
Well, yep, that's not even identified.
Yeah, it says right there, work area.
I see proposed rain garden. I'm sorry, yeah, maybe because it's upside down. I can't really.
Keep going south.
I don't see a lot. I don't see any. All right, work area. I see to the left.
Yes, and then you keep going south to the 480 foot mark. You'll see 130 foot of work area.
Foot mark.
Yeah, right there. Go to the left. You'll see right there. You just passed 130 from my pin west. That's 130 foot of work area, and then 270 across. Yep, that's 270. So that whole back, it's about a 2/3 of an acre. Yep, that's the whole thing right there.
Okay. Commissioner, so can you explain what you're going to do in that area, please?
There's a bunch of ash trees that are ready to come down. There's a bunch of dead trees already down. There's rose bushes and a lot of invasive that I like to just pull out. I'm going to wood chip everything, leave the wood chips here, rake the leaves out, and just leave it alone. I just want the nice natural beauty to come back. Whatever comes back that's healthy, I just want it to grow.
So if you're pulling invasives but not replanting, you're just going to get more, you're likely to get more invasives.
Well, if that's the case, then we'll put something there that's going to grow well. Which we gave you a list, so we could pick some stuff off of that.
Well, no, we're not going to pick stuff off of that. You
No,
would
no,
tell us
we'll
what you're
pick
going to
stuff
do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we did have a list with the application of plants that we would suggest to replace, like all native plants.
So does the commission feel like this is a complete application? And do you have questions?
How many dead trees are you going to remove? You mentioned
well, there's two ash trees that are still standing. There's a cherry tree ready to come down. So I would say probably drop 3 trees, and there's a bunch of dead ones on the ground already that I'd like to chip up with a wood chipper.
Could you mark those trees?
Can I mark them?
Can you mark those trees on the site plan?
No, but I can tell you where they are. They're right above the brown circles, which simulates a rock wall.
No, we actually need a plan that shows exactly what you're going to remove and what you're going to cut and
Okay.
where you're going to replant and with what. And Ty, maybe you can help these folks submit a more complete application so that we have a better sense of what they're proposing to do.
I mean, I went through the file, and when the shed was approved, this is actually an improvement as to what was submitted then. So there's not like a lot to work off of from the file. So, I mean, maybe if they had a survey done or something like that, then we'd have a better jumping off point.
Or even just a parcel map from the town overlaid by wetlands, and then actual work areas identified with trees marked, what's going to be removed and what's going to be replanted.
Well, I sent you pictures of the trees coming down.
But it's not marked on this plan.
Okay.
We need to have everything on that one same drawing.
Okay.
All right, so we'll improve a plan, mark it. And you need the topography, is that what I'm hearing? You would like more lines on there?
Well, topography is helpful because it kind of helps us understand if you're removing a bunch of material and we get a downpour, where's the water going to go?
Oh, we're not taking dirt out. I was actually going to leave the tree stumps there, just close to the ground.
True. But when you take vegetation out, you just end up with a lot of runoff. Is this on the left here? It says pond, I think.
The left, yeah, that's the neighbor's pond.
And then this squiggly line is the brook. Is that right?
Yes, that's seasonal stream comes through.
That's a seasonal stream. Okay,
correct.
And then from the stream to looks like, I don't know what that line is.
There's another pond up there.
It's 60 feet. You've marked, is that right? 60 feet?
It's actually only
yes.
It's actually only 18 feet from the property line, the pond on the neighbor.
Yeah.
The line that's marked 60 feet. Do you see that with the 2 arrows going from the stream to, it looks like your property line?
Correct.
And then what we really need to know is how far away from the stream are you pulling plants and replanting? I guess that's the primary activity, right?
Yes.
And which way is the stream flowing, in or out of the pond?
It's flowing out of the pond.
Okay.
That would be helpful to mark on here as well. The topography would help to define that.
Okay.
I put elevations on there.
Just a few.
You actually need the topo lines.
Need more.
All right.
Okay.
And then you've got another pond to the bottom of this picture, again with a 60-foot, but that's saying it's only 18.
That's my other neighbors, Doug Wynn.
So from the property line to that pond, it says 60 feet. Is that what you're saying? It's actually only 18 feet?
Correct.
No.
Who's saying correct? I'm sorry.
Correct. Doug Wynn, Victor Lewis, the owner of the property.
Adjacent.
Correct.
So that needs to be corrected.
I'll
it does. And then our challenge that we just want to voice, and I mean, we're all for, beautify property. We're all for that. We want that. But our challenge is, since the work that was previously done from our property line to the pond was always dry land. It has now become wet, soggy, and has become wetlands. So our concern is that disrupting the ground again is only going to make it more invasive to our property and is going to decrease the value.
Mm. So I'm not sure how a shed and fenced area would, is the fenced, I'm not sure how suddenly land would go from dry to wet, other than the fact that we've had a lot of water this year.
Not only that, but he has a curtain drain running along his rock wall between
Where
the
is
pond
that?
and my property line. I have pictures of that if you'd like to see them.
Okay. Actually, what we ought to do, Ty, is you ought to go out and take a look at this. And you have a curtain drain where? Against where that brown?
Yeah, if you look at some of the pictures, I have a rock wall that splits their property from mine. You'll see a rock wall running east and west of his property, and then it runs between the rock wall, his pond, and my property. So there's a seasonal stream there as well.
Okay, so we need to get all the information accurately reflected here. And are you saying, I'm not sure I'm following with the curtain drain?
Well, he's blaming some of the work I did around here, making his property more wet, but it's totally opposite.
Oh,
You'll see his pond, his stream. You'll see where it comes into my property.
okay.
So please have you all can come out.
So we need to actually really understand what you're proposing to do and where, and it would be helpful to have a better, it is actually required that you have a better site plan here to show what you're proposing.
Okay.
And if there's an issue, that's I think a separate issue.
Right.
And maybe you should discuss that also with Ty so we can figure out what's happening here. How
Hi,
big
Lynn.
is
My
this?
pleasure.
How
Hi,
big
Lynn.
is
May I
this?
speak?
How big is this property?
My property is 2 3/4 acres.
The property we're looking at? Okay. Thanks.
Hi, Lynn.
I'm sorry. Who?
Lynn, hi. Hi, this is Doug Wynn. I'm Mr. Livero's neighbor. I just wanted to echo Mr. Lewis's comment. We are. It seems that Mr. Livero is blaming us for something, which I think is a little bit, well, a lot inaccurate. He has been experimenting for years with trenching, and I have pictures of his trenching and his machinery and things that he's doing in his backyard. And they are time-stamped as well. We love that they're trying to beautify their property. But what's happening is that we have gone, Lynn, have gone from a very dry part of the property along the property line to a very muddy and soggy property and have lost trees that we planted because of this. We welcome any of you to come out and take a look at this. And we even had our property resurveyed, given all of the experiments that we saw him doing in his backyard. So we love it. We want them to be happy, but we don't want our property value to decrease because they are not getting proper approvals for what they're doing.
I'm here tonight, dear.
Well, okay. So, Ty, maybe you could take a look at this and investigate the concerns. And if you think we should have a site visit, then we will.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm not sure what to do with this application because I don't feel it's complete.
Can
Well,
I actually ask a question here?
I'm sorry, who's this?
This is David Popel here.
Yes.
You see, I'm the neighbor both on the south side and on the north side, on the east. So on this particular picture, the pond that's on the left side, which is the east side, and also the entire southern border of this property. And again, always good to do improvements on the property. That's nice, but I'd like to. We've had our property resurveyed, and I want to make sure that there's a very careful and proper assessment because this is work all along the boundary to our property on both sides, on the east side and on the south side. So I just want, I'd like to make sure that that's very precisely handled.
Well, again, we're not an arbitrator of whether a survey is correct or not correct. So if you're suggesting that it's not correct, yeah, you'll have to give us information.
The survey, I suspect, I mean, I have no reason to believe that our survey isn't correct, but there is a lot of trenching and work, and I want to make sure that it stays within
Sure.
its boundaries.
Sure. So I think it does make sense for us to go out and look at it first, for Ty to do that, and then give her recommendation on what she sees and whether or not we should have a full-on site visit there.
What
Is
does
anybody
the
else on the commission familiar with this property? I'd like for the other commissioners to have an
No.
opportunity to talk, please.
No.
So
No,
it's,
I would like to see it, and I agree. We need this map just doesn't do it. We need topographics on there. We need delineation of where the wetlands actually are. And you know, it just needs to be more complete. If there's going to be any digging, you know, I see a proposed rain garden. What's going to happen with the spoils that they dig out? How are they going to be gotten rid of or buried on the property? I don't know, or burned. But I agree, this is not a complete application. There's a lot of things we need, and I really think that a site visit would be proper.
Yep. Great.
Sounds good.
okay, so Ty, will you manage that for us? Does anybody else on the commission disagree?
No.
Okay.
No.
So Ty, can you take that next step? I'm not sure what to do with this as an incomplete application. It sounds like the commission's not accepting it as a
Well,
complete application.
It's my understanding that I mean, if you have an application, you can't not accept it, but you can ask for more information. You're not making a decision at tonight's meeting, correct?
Right.
So between now and the next meeting, if they provide a site plan with topography, with the wetlands delineated, then
And a sequence of what they're going to do.
a sequence.
Exactly. Trees cut down, area disturbed, spoils, all of that.
What you're going to plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the meantime,
thanks.
I'll go out and I'll do a site visit. If this trenching seems concerning, maybe I'll let the rest of the commission know, and they may want to go out and do a site visit themselves before the next meeting.
If it's at all problematic, we might want to do an actual site visit together as a commission.
Okay. Yep.
So we can warn it and discuss it on site.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Okay. And this just to be clear, the revised site plan can be in sketch form, or do you want them to go out and get a proper survey and
Well, the survey's already
build it
done.
off of that? Okay, you have something like that. We don't have anything on file that, so you have something to work from.
Well,
It needs to accurately reflect the work and the distances from the various
surveys done, but we don't have a blueprint.
wetlands and water courses. Needs to be a real site plan so that somebody looking at it would be able to tell what they're proposing to do and exactly where.
Ty, can you show an example of a site plan for them to see?
I can, not right now, but they welcome to come to the office and we can look at this.
That's a great idea.
For instance,
I think if they see an example from before, it'll help them understand what they need to do.
Yeah.
So the other one that's in our packet for Gorham Road looks like it's got pretty much the sort of thing we're asking for.
Okay.
Anything at all that would be helpful to them, that would be useful to share.
I can look at the Gorham Road right now if you'd like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just as a generic example of including the various things that we're asking for.
But I'd like to suggest that Ty do that directly with our applicants.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So that if they have questions, they can ask, and we can move through the rest of our agenda.
Good point.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just withdraw my application?
I'm sorry?
Just withdraw the application. I'm not interested in cleaning the property up. I'll just leave it as is. That's it. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for all your work. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. You just got. Screw these bricks. I'm not going to clean nothing up. I'm not going to have to.
You might want to take a look at the property anyway.
I mean, I don't think I would have permission to go. I could work with the neighbors and see
Yeah.
if they want to give me permission to go on their property and view it from there.
It sounds like there's a problem brewing.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. It's Doug Wynn. There's no problem. We just want them to follow the rules like we do. That's all.
So are you
you're
saying
welcome.
there's no problem now?
No, this is Victor,
Victor?
and I think Doug, we would very much appreciate you coming out and having a look and just assessing the work and just observing so you can see what's there, what's been done, what you're aware of, what you're not aware of, because we would love your expertise, honestly, so that we can understand how to manage, what we're occurring. I would really appreciate that very much, actually.
Well, we won't be able to be in a position to tell you how to manage the property. We would only be able to observe what's going on and whether or not we assess if there's a violation.
Okay. I mean, I would like to get your point of view, actually, if you would give us your time, please.
I agree. As the other neighbor, as the neighbor upstream, I would appreciate you coming out and taking a look and doing evaluation because I'm actually not comfortable with the various things that have gone on.
Okay. Well, Ty will be able to do that as our administrator. If she feels that there's a need for the rest of us to come out, she'll make sure that we do. And I think we just can leave it at that for now. But we appreciate your participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We just alarmed by the amount of equipment and digging, and it's sort of alarming to watch. So if you guys would come out and just take a look, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
So Ty, maybe you can arrange. It sounds like you've got some assistance from the neighbors to see what's going on. Thank you. Thank you all.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay, so we don't need a motion if the application's withdrawn, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't know, you guys were so quiet. I felt like I was the only one out here. That's kind of a interesting application.
Hard.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to 5B, and this is Joy. I'm hoping I'm gonna, is that right? Joy Simbulan?
Yes, it's Joy Simbulan Koo, and I'm her husband, Howard Koo.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And this is one of the new ones that we added, and I don't have the number on top of the actual application. I apologize. But we are moving on to Ty. Could you give me
33824?
Thank you. Now, Ty, have you had a chance to look at this one at all? I know it's been
I have
day.
not. I have had a crazy day.
Okay, so maybe we should ask the applicant to walk us through what you're proposing to do, and Ty, if you can pull up any information that you think would be helpful to help us understand, that would be great, or let the applicant do it.
Howard, would you like to share your screen and walk through
Sure.
it, or would you rather? I think it'd probably be easier for.
Yeah, actually, I am on the iPad with the Zoom and then my computer, so I'm not able to share.
Okay, I could share. I just.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So, as Ty's bringing it up, the project is a single family residence in the subdivision of St. John's Peak, lot 19. And that's a little over 5 acres. The lot is about 5.43 acres. And we were pondering whether we were, would our proposed structure or the act and the activities be under the regulated activity or unregulated activity? Because the wetland is on our property. And also we have a conservation easement as well on there, which the wetland is within that conservation easement area. The coverage for the wetland is a little less than an acre. You can see it marked within the hatch area of the conservation easement area. So we just wanted to bring this activity to the IWC commission to see whether one, it's regulated or not, and two, if it is regulated, that we have the approval to move forward with all the things in place to protect the not only the conservation area but to preserve the wetland area. So that is the purpose of our submission.
Thank you, Howard.
Yes.
We are not in a position to defend or comment on the conservation easement. Whoever the easement holder is would be the one that you would want to talk to about that.
Oh,
Okay.
right. Yes. Yes. I have actually one note on that. We have reached out to Northwest Conservancy.
Okay. Great.
And
Good.
we've been in touch with Mary. So we are working on that.
Great. So how far away are you from the regulated area?
The house itself is 115 feet away.
Okay.
And the closest distance to the wetland would be about 85 feet, which is the installation of the leaching equipment.
How many feet again? 85?
85, yes.
Mm-hmm.
85 feet. And that would be the closest that we would ever be with, to the wetlands.
And the wetland is oh gosh.
The wetland is within the hatch area, which within the conservation area.
Got it.
And it's less than, I'd say it's less than about an acre. It's probably 3/4 of an acre in area.
And it's basically just a wet area with wetland plants and that kind of thing?
Actually, ferns, when we saw the site in the summer, that was what attracted us to it. And it was like a biotope of ferns around there, several varieties. Just feels like you're in the terrarium when you go inside. And
that's nice.
and
that's nice. I wish I was right this minute. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Once we saw that, we said, okay, this is it. This is the one. It's just lovely. So we prepared, and we called IWC. We spoke to Ty. We were sort of on the fence whether we should submit it or not.
Yeah, Ty,
because it's 115 feet outside, but at the end we decided to submit anyway. Just
Ty?
No, so there is disturbance within the regulated area based on what's been proposed here because your septic is within 85 feet of the wetlands. So the application shows 0.60 of an acre of disturbed regulated area. So there's no doubt that this needs to be before the commission for approval if that's what the question.
Yes, 85 feet.
Okay. I think Howard is having a bit of a connectivity issue. So he might not have heard everything that you said, Ty.
Okay.
In fact, it looks like we just lost him. So
hi,
Ty,
can you hear me?
Oh, are you there?
Yeah. I just lost connection.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. The determination of us requiring to submit came at a much later stage upon working with the civil engineer and understanding where his proposed equipment would be. And once we saw that it was 85 feet, we knew that it was within 100 feet already of the wetlands. So at that point, we decided to put everything together and submit to the IWC for approval because of that later knowledge that was brought forward, from the civil engineer's work.
Okay, great. Ty, this has to go to doesn't this also have to go to the Northwest Conservation District or?
So,
Health,
interestingly,
I'm sorry, the health district.
oh yeah, the health department does have to.
Yeah. And what were you going to say?
Just about the Northwest Conservation District, you don't need that's another separate thing. You know, they need to check in with them about their conserved area to make
Oh,
sure.
we're
Yeah,
talking
but
about the
that's not some,
Northwest land. You're talking about Northwest Connecticut Land
yeah, that's
Conservancy.
what I
Two
thought you were.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and that's what I was explaining to Howard that we cannot act on that. That's not in our jurisdiction.
No,
But
no, you're not. You're right. But
yeah.
as an update, I've been in touch with Mary Walsh and Amanda over there at Northwest um, regarding this project, and they have the same copy. They have the same exact same site plan that you're looking at right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I think Mary, in fact, is in the process of providing a letter of approval uh, for the work.
Okay.
And
That would be
I also
great for
mentioned to
us.
her that we have yeah, yeah. Once I get it, we'll forward it to you, or she might forward to you directly. I'm not sure how the process is. But regarding the Torrington Area Health Department, we have already submitted the septic application to them as well.
Oh, great.
With again with the same site plan and the same drawings.
Okay. That's
So,
great.
yeah.
So Paul, Jeff, Marge, Anthony, Ty, and does anybody have any questions based on the information that we have in front of us right now? And are there additional facts or information that you'd like to see?
I can't even. Oh.
I was just looking at some of the information that's on the plan, the engineering plan.
Yeah.
The septic area, they're showing a mantis system, which is pretty compact. But right above it, you'd see there's DT number 1, okay, and then deep test number 2.
Right.
I don't know, would it be
I actually can't see that. Could somebody just make that a little bit bigger? I'm sorry. I must be blind.
No, you're not. It's a lot on here. But this
We're
is, I mean,
equally blind.
oh, I can't. I'm getting such a headache from looking at the computer screen anyway.
So to finish what I was saying,
I'm sorry, Paul, I just couldn't see it, so I still can't see it, but that's right.
On the bottom
All
right,
right.
there's a positive magnifying glass on the bottom right. I see
Yeah,
it
but
here
I
somewhere.
can't raise it.
Oh,
I
there it
can't.
is. Okay.
Oh, better. Okay, Paul, can you tell us what you're talking about?
All right, you see where it says Mantis system, those are the leaching fields. Right above that, there's a DT number 2 and a DT number 1.
You see it.
Those are the test holes that they did when they were looking for an area to put the septic system in. Now, I'm wondering if they could move the septic trenches 15 feet closer up to those 2 holes, which would give us 100 feet away from the flagged wetlands. I don't know if that would help at all.
Would that put it outside the regulated area, Ty?
It seems that.
So Howard, you might want to ask your engineer if that's possible, why they chose to put it within the regulated area instead of outside.
Yeah, I think that's a great question because I had also advised him to push it further back. And I'm not sure why he did not.
But he should be able to provide you with that answer. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah. They're so busy now, and so I'm not. But he will be able to provide us with that answer. I think I'm gonna. Yeah. I mean, if we can push it back, maybe another 15 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet.
15 feet puts you outside the 16 feet puts you safely outside the regulated area, right?
Correct. Yes.
So
And that'll actually be over the depots that we did anyway. Yeah.
So I don't know that much about the health department, but the circle here seems to be protecting the well location.
Where is the well? I'm sorry.
Right here.
Oh,
so it might
that's
be
why.
because the
Yep.
health department won't allow for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is the topography? Which way?
But we can move the well further to the right so that we have a 75 feet radius, right?
Yeah.
You know, because,
Okay.
you know, it's,
I mean, I don't know what the health department requirements are, so I almost think that your engineer probably planned
Well,
this
you could ask him
around
to look
those
at that.
requirements.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could
it's possible.
ask him to look at that. I mean, this is all good information. We can't take action on this application tonight.
okay.
Statutorily, we have to wait until our next regular meeting. But
Yeah.
so you have some time to explore if there's a way to kind of get out of this regulated area as well. But
Yeah.
if there isn't, are there other concerns or questions that the commission has that Howard should be aware of before we table the application for the next regular meeting?
No.
Jeff,
I don't
Anthony,
have any.
Mark? Okay.
I'm sorry, I've got a very sick dog right here. I have no comments, no questions.
No additional questions other than that?
No,
I mean,
no, I'm listening. I'm listening. Yeah, it's okay.
it seems straightforward, but if you could avoid the wetland permit, then why not? But maybe you can't. It seems straightforward to me, but now's the time to raise questions.
Right.
And Ty, after having looked at this, may also have additional questions for you, Howard, between now and the next regular meeting, which will be in March.
Okay. So, if from today and up to next meeting, if we're able to move the well, and we can move the mantis system out so that it's 101, 102 feet away. If those two conditions are met, should we withdraw the application, or do we?
Yep.
How does that? Can you?
Yep, you can withdraw the application.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Now, do we? I know I would require the site plan would need to be updated with that information and all. So I'm assuming we would email Ty a copy
Yeah.
of that update
Yes. Yes. Is that right,
when
Ty?
we request for the
Yeah,
withdrawal?
so I mean, if you're changing the site plan, you're gonna have to submit it for zoning anyways. So I'm gonna have that for the record, and you're gonna end up submitting it to the health department. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, when you make those changes, just push them forward to the land use office.
Okay.
Because there'll be a second look at this when it goes
Okay.
through zoning.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Okay, so very clear. If we're
Yeah.
able to, we'll withdraw. If we're not able to, then we'll sit
We'll
in
see
for
you
the
next
meeting.
month.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you for this plan, by the way. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
All right, so we need a motion for now to table this application. 133. This is application 1338-24 to the next regular meeting.
So moved.
Thanks, Paul. Second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Marge. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Anthony, are you an aye? Because you're
I'm
on.
I'm recused from this one.
You're recused? Okay.
Yes.
So opposed and recused. Anthony's recusing. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to application 1339-24, Andrea Budd, who has hung in throughout the entire meeting, and we appreciate it. And again, I'm going to bet that Ty hasn't had a chance to review this.
So this one is a little bit different. This is a result of a violation.
Thank you.
So the violation information was included under, I think, B3 on your agenda in the packets, and then Mrs. Budd or Ms. Budd came forward with an application to as an after fact to try to remedy what had happened. So that application just came in today. It's not there's not a lot of information involved. The violation just happened last weekend.
So can
So
you explain it? Give us some detail. What was the violation? What is the
sure. So
application?
actually, Donna went out to it. The first selectman had contacted her about a complaint over the weekend. And she went out and found equipment in the water course. So I think that Donna would probably be better to describe. There's some really good pictures on file. We can share those, but I think you guys all have copies of those of what was occurring. So I'll let Donna explain.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did get a phone call from First Selectman Lyndon Meyer, who said that he had received a complaint that there was equipment in the stream and asked if someone could go and check it all out. I went over, and when I got there, yes, there was equipment. A small front end excavator was in the stream, as were three of the workers moving large boulders. I walked up to them and asked them to please stop, that there was no permit that was allowed for this work. They needed to remove their equipment right away. They did stop working. The equipment hung out for a little while, and so did I. And then spoke to the property owners who advised me that he felt, I spoke to Mr. Young, who was the other property owner. He felt that he believed that a permit was not required because this was a repair. And I explained to him that that's not the case. That either way, you need a permit, whether it's for a repair. If you think it might even be maintenance, you should call the office to verify that. But that in this particular case, an application was absolutely required, and that the equipment needed to be removed from the property. He asked me to follow up with an email, which I did, and I believe that's part of the packet. And then he did say that he would be calling the office. Monday was President's Day, so they did call on Tuesday, and they have been very forthcoming in filling out the paperwork and really trying to let you guys know that they did make a mistake, and that right now what they're trying to do is rectify the mistake and find out what they need to do to move forward. And so when they came in, they spoke to Ty, because I'm not there on Tuesdays, Wednesday, or Tuesday. I'm only there Tuesday afternoon. So she spoke to them on Tuesday morning, and then has been dealing with the property owners since. So conversations that she's had with them, she can explain. So
Great, thank you. Thanks, Donna.
Sure.
So then, Ty?
Yeah, so again, Ms. Budd has been very cooperative. She's not terribly familiar with these kind of situations, so we've been working together just at first of all, just to come forward with some kind of application to you to understand what what they were trying to do and accomplish. And now that work is done, they're not planning on doing anything further, as far as I understand, but still, I think you guys need an opportunity to understand what happened and whether any remediation is required. And it's only been a week, so if we need to reach out to, somebody to help us to take a look at it for restoration, we can work together on that as well.
And so can you walk us through what's happened, what they've done, and whether or not you think there's a need for whether or not you think there's a need for remediation?
May I interrupt for a second? I have to leave the meeting. I've got an emergency here with my dog. I'm sorry. I've got to go.
Good luck, Marge. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of us still here, so we can continue.
Yeah, so again, I mean, I didn't go out to the site, but apparently there was just debris in the water course.
Debris as in?
Yeah, so I
What,
mean,
down trees?
Andrea could better explain what they were removing from the water course with the equipment. She's on the call, so.
Yeah, I just want to completely apologize, because we honestly didn't know. We thought that if you're doing a repair, it doesn't require the permit. So we apologize wholeheartedly for that, our ignorance. We hired people because we had so much flooding in the two major storms, most recent, that there was debris. Because our brook comes from all the way by the brewery. I don't know if you're familiar. It comes all the way down two major roads, probably through 8 people's property on one end, and on the back end we share with the Renbergs, and they've been doing beaver trapping, so the debris comes upstream. So between the two water flows, we just got inundated, and the rocks in the water were displaced. So we were all trying to do was make the repair. We want to stabilize the brook. We just want the water flow to continue to go. That's it. We didn't mean any harm or foul.
Okay. And Ty, when you went out there and looked, did you agree it's been stabilized and no harm, no foul?
I mean, Donna, what do you think? I mean, it didn't look stabilized yet, restabilized yet to me.
Yeah, I mean, when I was there, it had snowed. It was that Saturday of President's Weekend when we had all that snow. So when I was there, the property was snow covered. They had put in like a footbridge, nothing more than, maybe what are those things called? Like just
Stepping
like a piece of wood, a plank, thank you, across so that they could cross the stream to go to the other area that's more vegetated than the backyard. I guess my major concern was the fact that this little tributary does feed into the West Aspetuck that's down on Tangway. So what she's referring to is, in that area on Tangway that's kind of very swampy, there are a lot of beaver dams that are in there. So, I did not see any kind of scouring across the street. And the damage that I saw, to me, looked like it came from the work that they had been doing. There were big piles in the area, so it looked like they had cut down at least one tree, maybe two, and it looked like they had kind of pushed things around with the front of this little machine that he had. But they were trying at that point in time, what they were trying to do was to put the rocks back and then put that little piece of wood back so that they could cross the stream.
When you say push stuff around, you mean the riverbed? The stream bed?
Adjacent to the stream, absolutely. And there's pictures of all of that.
So has anybody been there since?
I drove past on, so I was there Saturday. Then I drove by again on Monday. All the equipment was gone and no other work had been done.
And is there work that should be done? Is there stabilization work that should be done? Donna?
You know what? I don't necessarily think so. I think that it's not a deep stream. It's not like, it's just a very shallow little stream that just kind of flows into the West Aspetuck area.
No replanting or anything?
Well, I mean, like I said, it was covered in snow, so would it be helpful to have? Yeah, I definitely think that some kind of replanting needs to be done, especially since they had taken down some of the larger trees that were helping to soak up some of, the wetness of the area.
Yeah. Andrea, did you take down some trees?
No, I actually didn't. There is one tree that you probably saw. Over the summer, we had major lightning, and that one tree got hit by lightning and completely exploded. And that's the only tree that even got touched because, I mean, it was all over the field. But whatever other tree you might have seen, we did not cut. That was probably like that for when we bought the property.
Well, there are some.
We don't cut trees. That's like my husband's big thing is we're tree huggers. Don't. So that was exploded from the lightning.
You would be able to tell if those stumps were new, relatively new. Okay. So I guess the question is, either Ty or Donna, are you recommending that there be some native tree planting along the banks here? I guess that's a question for the commission too.
Yeah, I don't think that, I think the property should be revisited to get a better idea of actually what the area looks like. You know, and that would be in conjunction with the work that was done, as well as any kind of flooding that might have occurred from the swamp in Tangway, on Tangway.
Yeah, that swamp is also part of my property. Our property goes down Tangway and it butts to the Renbergs.
Okay.
Where the beaver traps are. But if you walk down Tangway, you'll see all the swamp in my backyard.
Right, and that's where the beaver are.
Right.
Yeah, and that actually is the West Aspetuck.
Well, a little bit further, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that was really my main concern.
Yeah.
But
if you come, I'll walk you down Tangway and we can go through it and you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it's something that should be revisited and looked at once the weather clears up.
Okay.
Because like I said, with the snow, I was not able to tell really what the extent of the damage was, other than the fact that they were in the water.
Yeah.
So
we apologize for that, and we want to make it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Paul, do you have any thoughts about this? Or Anthony or Jeff or
It's just hard to tell, you know, how much exposed ground there is there with that amount of snow on there. You know, like you said, if we go back and take a look and maybe suggest that some planting, some kind of restoration, you know, to retain the soil.
Okay, so I kind of agree too, Jeffrey and Anthony.
Yep.
Maybe we should set up a site visit. My question is when? I mean, we don't want to wait too long. Things are going to start growing. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. What do you think?
Are those pictures of the work being done in the stream, or is it dried up at that point?
I don't.
Those pictures, no, it was not dry. There was water there.
Yeah.
And it was running.
Is the stream right in the lower right section in that picture?
It's right.
Okay.
Well, actually, that the water comes in two different directions. So it's kind of like a little V and then it joins. So this would be like the southwest side of the stream. And it definitely was running.
Okay.
So his question is the machinery that we're looking at in the stream or on the bank?
The front boom of the machinery was in the water.
Got it.
And the tracking system was just touching the edge of the water.
Okay.
And the guys were actually in, you know, there's one guy, you can see him right there. He's standing in the brook.
Right.
And they were picking up the big rocks and trying to reposition them.
On the bank?
On both banks, yes.
Okay, thanks. Sounds like we should go and take a look. Right? Is everybody up for a site visit?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so Ty, if you could, not right away, but a little bit in the future, I'm wondering, Donna, do you think that we should, based on what you saw there, be prepared to go out between now and the next meeting, or would you actually recommend waiting until the April meeting? I'm sorry, March. Yeah, wait until between March and April.
I think that if you were to go like a week before the next meeting, that would be good. We are expecting a lot of rain. So I think it might be able to give you a clearer picture of actually how the water is running and where it's going.
And sooner rather than later, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I would.
All right. Is everybody up for that? And if so, yeah. So Ty,
Yes.
could you reach out with the landowner and us and see if we can find a time for a site visit?
Sure thing.
Thank you. So that means that we could hold off on acting on this application until March. We can table this, right?
Of course.
Okay, so we just need a motion then to do that. From anyone.
So moved. I don't know what the application number is.
Oh, sorry. It's
Yep.
it's 1339-24. So you made the motion to table. We need a second. Anthony or Jeff?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Okay, Andrea, thank you for being here and we appreciate your concern over this. And we hope you won't do anything like this again. And we'll look forward to walking the property with you. Walking
Okay, I
this property.
appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we are going to move on to written, and we've got some stuff we need to move through, right? That's it, right, Ty, for applications?
That's right.
Okay, so if you could move us through the written
Sure.
and verbal and just kind of set the stage for us. Because it's
Yes.
9:05 and I bet we're losing it.
Yep. So if you remember the 18 Highland Road property from, I don't know, maybe a year ago, the neighbor Miles had some concerns with the tree cutting on that property. We walked the site. The bats were an issue. We had to reach out to DP. Well, that property has now been sold to Mr. Weigel, the gentleman who had the concerns. He purchased that property. So he'd like to actually replant it and put it back to its natural state. And he reached out, and this was just an email that was addressed to both myself and Lynn. So I feel like I've answered his question with regard to what he needs to do to move forward, but I just wanted to share the status of the property with you and what his intentions are, and we'll probably see him in the future.
That's great news. And you'll keep an eye on the property and alert him in case he's doing something that needs a permit, right?
Yeah, I think his intentions are good.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's an interesting turnaround for that property.
It really is.
Maybe perseverance is a virtue. I don't know. Maybe that is good.
Yeah.
All right. And then the aquatic pesticide application.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the general, I think this is a 3-year. This is not the first time you've seen this, but this normal notification that happens when they're planning on doing.
Did you notice anything in it? Odd?
Not out of, I mean,
Is
it looks
there is there a receiving stream or water body? He says no.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
application
Can the
said no.
outflow be stopped? It says yes. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking through that and it didn't say that it empties into any other waterway.
Right. Do you think it does?
No, I'm not familiar with the property.
Me neither.
yeah, I mean, I looked at the file and it was not their first go around with this. This seems to be, their notice. This is what they do. They've received, all the letter regarding alternatives in the past, and this is their choice.
And this is another 3-year permit request. Well, you know, as far as I know, the state may have already acted on this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is just a notification
Yeah.
for you guys. It's not necessarily for you to act on it. It's just to let you know what's happening.
Right. So if anybody sees anything in here that's off, that's not correct, it is important that we let the state know when they're getting false information. So take a look at it and just let Ty know. But it doesn't sound like there's anything off here at the moment.
So then moving on to the verbal, the citation hearing officer recommendations. I know Jeff was working with a couple possibilities, so he may have something to report on with that.
Yeah, but both Jesse Klingenbill and Mike Benjamin are interested.
Oh, that's great.
I've instructed them to talk to Ty about just your experience with this in the process. In the past, I said it's very unlikely that there will be something, but they would work as a sort of a listen agent to find out if the commission acted within its boundaries and scope. And they both thought it was a very reasonable request
Oh, that's
and interested.
super. That's
So,
wonderful.
so should I reach out to them or?
Oh yeah, they're insane with school right now, but that they're going to have 3 weeks off coming up in a week, so
Oh, sounds good.
they should be okay.
Great. Well, that's really great. Thank you, Jeff.
This had happened sooner, they would have gone over to Kent Hollow Road instead of me. Right? Because wouldn't they have done that in their capacity as a citation?
Only if
No.
only if we had issued only if we had issued
A
penalty
fine. Yeah, if you
and
paid
they
the
didn't
fine.
like it.
Right.
So they would act on a decision that would have been made either by me or by you to determine whether or not a fine needed to be issued. Is that
Or the
how it works?
commission.
No, the commission or the office would issue the citation, but if they wanted to appeal it, then this would be their resource to go,
Okay.
they would be almost acting as an appeals board, I guess.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Well,
So,
that's really good. Okay.
so are we good to go forward with appointing them, or do they
You only
want to
can
have a
appoint one?
discussion? Well, actually, we need to recommend to the selectmen actually are the ones who would appoint because it is actually the first selectman appoints because it's the town's ordinance, but he's looking for recommendations from you guys as to who you'd like to have him appoint.
Yeah. My only question about Mike is I know he works for the Kent Land Trust. I don't know if that would potentially put him in a awkward position. You might want to explore that with him. And Jesse Klingenbill, I think, is on the Houstonic River Commission and
Yes, he
is
is.
the selectman's appointee to that commission. So I would just feel them out to see if there's any potential, if they think it might put them in an awkward position with either the land trust or the river commission, you know.
Okay,
I
so
don't
maybe
know.
we'll give this another month. I'll try to talk to them between now and then report back to you what they said, and you guys can move forward with your recommendation after that point.
Yeah, is that okay with you guys? I
Yeah,
would have
that's
a hard
good.
time choosing between the two. I think they're both terrific. So, Jeff, we might need some guidance on that, but
No, I've known them for a long, long, long time. They're great guys.
we can only recommend one, right? Or we could recommend two, and the selectmen could make their
Well,
decision.
I think if we just ask if it's okay for us to appoint them and see what they say.
Well, we can only recommend that the selectmen appoint them, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So
So
we're just going to forward the names to the selectmen.
well, it sounds like Ty's going to check with them to make sure they realize.
Right. It sounds like based on what Jeff said, sounds like they might want to have a conversation or had some questions. So I'm happy to talk to them a little bit and then talk about the possible conflicts to see how they feel about that. And then I'll come back to you with what was said and you guys can decide which one you want to put forward to the selectmen, if that works.
Yeah, I think what Paul was asking, or maybe I'm wrong, but can we forward more than one name and let the selectmen make that choice, or do they want us to?
Marty asked for your recommendation. He respects your opinion. So I guess you could put two forward and let them decide. That's fine.
Well, if you find out anything that makes you feel like one or the other hadn't thought about that conflict issue, let us know.
Okay, sounds good.
That's great. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, what else do we have?
We had Mike Ziska's letter on the Housatonic Herbicide Working Group. Yeah, my sense of that was that we could, with a minor modification, submit our letter to legislators.
Yep, and I did make that change on a draft.
So if the commission's okay with that, based on that, Ty and I'll finalize that and send it off. Does anybody have any questions on it?
No.
Okay, great. That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Ty.
Sure.
And then we just talked about the Kent Hollow violation, right?
Right. Nothing more to say on that.
Oh, thank God. I don't know. This felt like a hell of a meeting.
It was a doozy.
It was a doozy. That's a good one.
Yep,
Thank
it was
you.
a
Thank
doozy.
you all for, sticking with it. And Ty, great job. And thank you, Donna, if you're still there.
She's there.
I'm here, typing away.
All
You're
right.
welcome. It's not a problem at all.
Okay. Anything else to come before the commission then that we want to talk about? Well, then we need a motion to adjourn really quick.
Paul?
So moved.
There you go.
Seconded.
That's a unanimous second. All right. Thanks, you guys. Hope you have a
All right.
great
Have a good
week.
night.
See
All
you
right.
soon.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.